And look, if you believe the official government numbers, the poverty line for a family of 4 in 2025 is exactly $32,150. But a viral new report shows that the real number you need to survive today is closer to $140,000. It's not a typo. This is a kill box. And while the government is high-fiving itself for keeping the official number low, I'm going to show you exactly why your 6-figure salary feels like minimum wage, and exactly how to escape the dependency flywheel they built to trap you. Now, immediately, the internet exploded. Critics are screaming that that's not poverty, that's comfort, that's lifestyle creep. You don't need brand name cereal. But I want you to look at your own bank account. I want you to look at the MIT living wage calculator. You see, if you live in a major metro area, if you pay for healthcare, which now costs more than in-state college tuition in 30 states, and if you carry a mortgage that feels less like a loan and more like a hostage ransom, you know the truth. You know that $140,000 today feels exactly like $60,000 did 10 years ago. You're making 6 figures, and you're clipping coupons for pasta sauce. You are the rich person who can't afford to fix the transmission on your Camry. And here is the terrifying part. That gap between that $32,000 official lie and your $140,000 reality, that isn't just inflation. That isn't just bad luck. That is a kill box. And you are standing right in the center of it. Because what you are feeling isn't a glitch in the system. It is the operating system. I call it the dependency flywheel. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how it works. I'm going to show you the 3 invisible gears: runway costs, the cliff trap, and tax creep that are grinding your wealth into dust. And I'm going to show you how the wealthy are already fleeing the scene of the crime. And most importantly, I'm going to show you how to stop being the victim in their little experiment and start being the one thing they can't touch. So strap in, because I'm about to make you very angry, and then I'm going to make you very smart. Now, I can feel it. I know what you're probably already thinking. Matt, you sound like the guy on the street corner wearing a sandwich board that says the end is near. And normally, I'd agree with you. But this isn't a conspiracy theory. This is a math problem. The government has a massive incentive to tell you that you aren't poor. Because if they admitted that you need $140,000 just to survive, they would have to admit that their entire economic model is a dumpster fire rolling downhill into a fireworks factory. So instead, they engineered a system that does 2 things simultaneously. 1, it raises the floor for the dependent, and 2, it lowers the ceiling for the independent. And if you are in the middle, you get squeezed until you pop. It's called the Great Leveling. The goal isn't to make everyone rich. That's hard. That requires production, innovation, and sane energy policies. The goal is to make everyone dependent. That's easy. That just requires a printer and a tax code. They are creating a world where success is punished, failure is subsidized, and the only way to win is to stop playing. And if you think I'm being dramatic, let me introduce you to a little mechanism economists call the benefit cliff, but which I prefer to call the trapdoor. Let's look at the receipts. And warning, this math is going to make you want to throw your laptop or your cell phone right through a window. Let's take a real world scenario. Meet Miranda. Miranda is a single mom in Ohio. She works hard. She makes $55,000 a year. Now in 2025, $55,000 is tough. But because the system recognizes that $55,000 isn't enough to survive, Miranda gets help. She qualifies for childcare subsidies. She gets healthcare credits under the Affordable Care Act. And maybe she gets some housing assistance. Her total resources, her paycheck plus the government help, allows her to keep the lights on and feed her kids something other than despair. But Miranda is ambitious. Miranda wants to get ahead. So Miranda works her tail off. She takes night classes, she impresses her boss, and she gets a promotion. Boom, a $10,000 raise. She is now making $65,000 a year. She's popping the cheap champagne. She thinks she finally made it. But Miranda just fell through the trapdoor. Because she earned that extra $10,000, she crossed an invisible eligibility line. She makes too much for the childcare subsidy, so that's gone. That's $800 a month out of her pocket. She makes too much for the enhanced healthcare credit, so that's gone too. Her premium just tripled. So when you do the math, that $10,000 raise actually cost her $15,000 in lost support. Her bank account went up by 10,000 bucks, but her life went down by 5. She worked harder, she produced more, and she got poorer. Think about the insanity of that. The effective marginal tax rate on her raise was over 100%. There's no mafia don in history who would demand 100% of your earnings. Even the mob leaves you enough to buy a cannoli so you can earn for them next week. But the government, they take it all. And the message they are sending Miranda is loud and clear. Don't climb. Don't try. Stay down here with us. It's warm. It's safe. And if you try to leave, we'll break your legs. And if you think, well, that's just clumsy bureaucracy, Matt. They don't mean to do it. Oh, well, hold that thought. Look at who's winning elections right now. Look at the architecture they're building. In November, last month, Zohran Mamdani won the New York City mayor's race. Now, you might not follow NYC politics. You might think, who cares? I don't live in a shoebox apartment that costs $4,000 a month. But you need to pay attention to how he won. He didn't run as a moderate. He didn't run on growth. He ran as a democratic socialist. And he didn't just tweet about it. He went to LaGuardia Airport at midnight. He stood there in the cold and he talked to taxi drivers during their shift change. He connected with working people on a visceral level. That is smart. That is effective, obviously. But his platform? Rent freezes, massive redistribution, basically turning New York City into one giant co-op board meeting from hell? This is the shift. The 2028 plan isn't about creating more wealth. It is about managing decline through redistribution. It creates a political environment where success is viewed as theft. And when you view success as theft, what do? You send in the police to take the stolen goods back. They call it taxing the rich. And we have a live, screaming example of exactly how that goes. Let's look at Norway. Norway, beautiful country. Great fjords, excellent sweaters. Recently, Norway decided to increase their wealth tax. They wanted to raise a modest $146 million in new revenue. Fair share, right? Sounds great on a bumper sticker. Here is what actually happened. Over 500 high net worth individuals, the people who own the businesses and hire the workers, looked at the math, they looked at the fjords, and they said goodbye, and they packed their bags. They moved to Switzerland, they moved to Italy, and they took an estimated $54 billion in wealth with them. The government didn't raise revenue, they lost revenue. They lost hundreds of millions of dollars in tax receipts because the people they were trying to squeeze just left the building. It is the Wile E. Coyote of tax policies. They set a trap for the roadrunner, and then they dropped an anvil on their own head. And we're watching the exact same cartoon play out right here in America. I mean, why did Elon Musk move Tesla's headquarters to Austin? Why is Chevron moving to Houston? Why did Jeff Bezos move to Miami? I promise you, it wasn't for the humidity. By leaving Washington State, which just introduced a new capital gains tax, Bezos saved an estimated $600 million to $1 billion in taxes on his stock sales. Just his taxes, $1 billion he saved. That is the smart money voting with their feet. California lost over 1.4 million domestic residents between 2020 and 2024. U-Haul literally ran out of trucks leaving California. You had to pay a ransom just to rent a box truck to escape. The middle class is leaving. The wealthy are leaving. Who's staying? The very rich who can afford the sunshine tax, and the very poor who are trapped in the benefit cliff. Everyone in the middle is just getting eaten alive. Now, at this point, you might be feeling a mix of rage and panic. You might be thinking, okay, Matt, I get it. The system is rigged. The game is fixed. The casino is cheating. And you're right, if that's what you're thinking. You're not crazy for looking at your $140,000 salary and feeling broke. You're not crazy for feeling like you are running on a treadmill that is set to sprint while someone sprays you with a fire hose of bills. The gaslighting is intense. They tell you inflation is cooling. They tell you the economy is strong. They tell you just budget better. Stop buying lattes, right? I mean, if you just stopped buying coffees, you could afford a house that costs 70% more than it did 4 years ago. Sure, And if I flap my arms hard enough, I can fly to the moon. You see, the math just doesn't work. You are being squeezed by design. They need you dependent. They need you to stay in the kill box because you are the battery that powers the whole machine. But here's the good news. You don't have to be a battery. Now, you're not Jeff Bezos. You can't just move your headquarters to Dubai tomorrow. You have a job here, right? You've got kids here. You've got grandkids here. The exit plan that works for billionaires, the just leave strategy, does not work for you. So if you can't physically leave the jurisdiction, you have to financially leave the system. You have to execute an income shift. That trapdoor, it hunts for W-2 income. It hunts for wages. It hunts for fixed retirement income. But the tax code contains a backdoor written by investors for investors. And yes, I'm talking about real estate. You see, in 2025, the tax code still allows for something magical called depreciation. You can have positive cash flow hitting your bank account every month from a rental property, real money. But on your tax return, you claim depreciation. You tell the IRS, oh, my building lost value. That paper loss wipes out your real income. You can legally show zero income or even a loss while your bank account actually grows. You look poor on paper, you look rich in reality. This is active defense. Code A, the W-2 code. High tax, trapdoors, you lose. Code B, the asset code. Depreciation, control, privacy, you win. You can't save your way out of the $140,000 trap. You have to asset your way out. But building the asset, it's only half the battle. Because once you actually build that fortress, the state has a second mechanism designed to loot it from the inside out. They don't use income tax for this one. They use a much quieter, deadlier weapon called assessment inflation to bleed you while you're alive, and a nightmare called probate to seize what's left when you're gone. If you don't close those two specific back doors, you're just building wealth for the government to confiscate later. So I broke down exactly how that looting machine works and the specific legal paper you file to freeze them out. I did that in this video right here. You'll see the exact math on how they calculate your seizure so you can lock that door before they even try to open it.